What's up, everybody? John Eric Pauli here with my MMA news, and today's guest will be fighting this weekend at UFC 295 at Madison Square Garden. Joined today by Dennis Buzukja. Dennis, nice to see you again, man. How's everything going?
Nice to see you too, brother. Great, man. How you been?
Good, man. Can't complain at all. I'm so happy that you're finally in the UFC. And before we get into anything with this fight coming up here, I want to actually backtrack just to kind of set the tone here because for you, this was a long time coming to get into the UFC. When you finally did, probably could not have been any worse of a situation. I'm gonna let you explain it because you heard about your first UFC fight on like 4 days' notice. Talk about mayhem. Explain everything that took place with all of that.
Yeah, man. It was they called me up Tuesday night. The fight was Saturday. It was in Nashville, like a 2-hour flight. They called me up, so I get to the gym and I had sushi that day because I thought I was gonna have a hard training. I was like, let me carb up a little bit. The soy sauce and the rice and everything doesn't help with a weight cut. So I'm on my way to the gym after I ate lunch. They tell me they need an opponent for Saturday night. I was like, all right, send the contract, which was Woodson, which is 6'3" at featherweight, which you never see before. And and then it was just a matter of who's gonna corner me because it's so short notice. Aljo had his fight coming up, and then it was Ray. Ray had problems with his hip, so it was like, who's gonna corner me? How am I gonna cut all this weight? I had to cut 22 pounds, and really in 3 days: Tuesday night, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday morning. So it's 3 days pretty much. And fly over. I had to get all my medicals done. USADA. I get off the plane. I go straight to the doctor for blood work in Nashville. And then it's finally start paying attention to the opponent, try to come up with a game plan in 3 days, whatever we could, and cut the weight, man, and try to recover and fight. But it was that was a tough one. But I went bell to bell, 15 minutes with a really tough guy like Woodson, who's very skilled and tricky. And I didn't break, I didn't give up. So I take pride in that at least. Even though I didn't get the win, I went out there and I fought my heart out and I gave it everything I had.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, right, not the best situation. There's probably no fighter ever that wants to be in that situation. But with everything that took place there, just got to ask, was there anything from that experience that you took away as a positive, whether it be just the way the UFC does their fight week, your performance, or I know you mentioned before being happy going bell to bell, anything like that you took away that was at least a positive from it?
Yeah, like I said, man, I went in there and I didn't go to just show up. I really went there to win. I'm always in the gym, so I wasn't in bad shape. I went in there, I really fought my heart out. And as long as I do that, man, I'm proud of myself. Of course, I always want to win, and it burns inside losing. But I'm finally in the UFC. It's where I've always wanted to be. It's my dream. And especially with this fight coming up at Madison Square Garden in my hometown, it's just, I'm living my dream, man. I'm blessed. And I thank God every day for everything. And I work hard for that, not to let my people down. So, God willing, everything's going to go good.
All right, so one more thing before we move on to this upcoming fight, and that's just that I wanted to ask you about the UFC fight week itself. I know you've been familiar with it with your training partners and everything, but for you, I don't know how much of it you got to really experience that first time out with everything, but typically UFC fight week, you have all your poster signings and media and the weigh-ins, in this case, in the last case, too, ceremonial weigh-ins. Just what were your thoughts getting to do it yourself as opposed to watching your teammates do it?
Man, it's so funny because when I finally got this fight, I had like the whole UFC staff coming up to me like, we thought you were already in the UFC, because I was always there and everything with Aljo, Marab, Al. And I'm like, nah, I wasn't in, So people were shocked, but I love the whole process, man. And it felt so funny. I was joking with the guys. I'm like, I was like waiting for Aljo and them to sit in the seats to sign like the posters or whatever. And I'm like, oh wait, I'm supposed to be sitting here this time. It was just so funny because it's always for them. And man, it's just, I love it. I loved everything about it. The ceremonials. I didn't get to do media because it was so short notice. But everything else was awesome. And I'm very, very, very excited to experience the full fight week here. And especially in New York, man. Like, it's like we were talking about it with Nas and Frivola. Like, we're going to just be chilling fight week, going out in the city, and then just get into a fight and then at the end of the week and get paid for it. So it's we're trying to make light of the whole situation.
Yeah, it definitely has its perks of being in New York City for you, especially too, being close by and everything there. That's what I want to ask too. Madison Square Garden, right? The mecca of fighting there. Just tell me what the emotions are like as being a guy from New York City to be able to get to fight in Madison Square Garden.
I'm just enjoying really everything about it, man. Like it's always been a dream come. Like I've always dreamt of fighting in Madison Square Garden, and I've always manifested making my debut there, which this does feel like my debut. I have a proper camp. I have notice for an opponent, preparation and marketing for the fight. Promoting it. So it feels like this is kind of like destiny. Like I'm meant to be here this time. I have my teammates on the card. It's a big card. They always show out for MSG. And it's like, I don't know, it's crazy, man. Just having everyone who I grow up with, like they're gonna be at the fight, even though tickets are crazy. They all bought tickets, and I'm blessed, man. I can't stress it enough. I'm just grateful and blessed for this opportunity.
And it's great that you're going to have a lot of people there to support you too for this fight. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of Albanian flags too in the crowd to cheer you on there. Let's talk about the preparation of this fight here though a little bit now. Training camp's obviously wrapped up. Just how'd your camp go?
It was a great camp, man. A lot of ups and downs. I kind of knew I was gonna fight at MSG for a while now, like 12 weeks. It was the weekend of Aljo's fight, which was like August 19th. I just didn't have an opponent until 8 weeks out, so I was preparing my body for the camp for 12. I've been in camp for 12 weeks, so I'm gonna say this is the best shape I've ever been in, mentally, physically. Like I'm prepared in all aspects. I'm ready for a war. 15 minutes of hell. Emmers is a really tough opponent. He's definitely not a walk in the park, and we'll see who breaks first, man. I'm in there to break him. He's gonna try to break me, and we'll see who gives up first.
Now, along the preparation lines, just out of curiosity, I know a lot of times in like team sports, for example, a lot of coaches will say, we try to make practice hard so doing the games is easier. Fighting, that could be, maybe easier said than done. But in your case, when you're training with guys like Aljo and Marab and all the other great guys in that gym there, is that really true that going out on fight night sometimes is easier than going to training camp and going to practice every day?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I swear I say it all the time in the gym too. Like I'm more nervous for some of the sessions and definitely the sparring than I am for my fights, because it's like you have such high level guys and no one's gonna give up in here, and we're like our sparring are fights, man. It's just 3 5 minute rounds in there with another guy, and you just try to break each other. We're not trying to knock each other out, but we're hitting each other, we're slamming each other, choking. Like we really push each other to the limits in here, and train hard, fight easy. It's our motto, and that's what we do. That's why our team's been killing it this year, and I plan to keep that streak going.
All right, so while we're talking about your teammates and everything, just really quickly before we get back into your fight here, I just wanted to ask you just a little bit about Aljamain. Obviously, was a great champion there. He had a great first round, I thought, against Sean O'Malley. I thought he was doing everything perfectly. I know kind of got away from the game plan. Whatever happened there. Just want to get your thoughts on everything that kind of transpired. And I don't know. For me personally, I would want to see a rematch given that Aljamain did when he was champion there. Don't know if the UFC is going to go that way. Obviously, all the rumblings that you hear through Twitter and whatnot, everything's saying no, but just kind of what's going on there as well.
Look, Aljo, he's did so many back-to-back camps, like no breaks. It was like he fought Jan the first time, he had the surgery, rematched him. Then he fought TJ, then he fought Henry, then he fought O'Malley like 3 months later. He was burnt out, man. And to see like Adesanya, for example, saying he needs a break, and maybe Volk too, like it's a lot on the mental. Like this is a very mentally hard game. And Aljo, after the fight, he went like on like a world tour, much deserved, much needed for him. He enjoyed the world. He enjoyed the time with his lady. Like he got away from the game a little bit to just relax himself. It's not like he fought and then it's like the next day, all right, they want me to fight this guy right away. So now he got back in the gym the last few weeks, and he's just so motivated, so happy. So he's been in talks with the UFC for what's next. He hasn't made a final decision yet, but I think sometime early next year, in the first few months, the first quarter of next year, we might be seeing Aljamain Sterling return. But I'm excited for that.
And we're all excited for that too, to see him return. I'm sure he's going to come back better than ever from everything that kind of took place in that last fight there. But let's get back to talking about you here a little bit in this fight here. Let's talk about your opponent. Just what have you seen out of him as you've been scouting now for the last 12 weeks in your training camp, and what are you kind of expecting on fight night?
Look, he's tough, man. He's fast. He's very well rounded. He's a good striker. He moves a lot. I think his movement and his timing are his best attributes. So we got a nice little game plan together. Game plan A, game plan B, game plan C. And if none of them work out, we just bite down on the mouthpiece and fucking go to war, you know? So, like I said, he has a lot of experience. I respect him a lot as an opponent. But I think this fight is really just me versus me in there. And I'm coming to show I really belong in the UFC. And I am who I say I am. And I am who my team says I am. And I'm going to show it. Like, the only option is to win in my hometown. There's really no other option for me this fight.
And one of the things with you, and I had mentioned this earlier too in the interview, is that you represent Albania every chance that you get. Just talk about what that's meant to you as a fighter throughout your career. And now that you're in the UFC, I know flags are finally welcomed back. You'll be able to walk to the octagon with it. What's just all that meant to you?
Man, it's like our country's small. And we've been through so much throughout, like, since civilization really began in Europe. And we never really had representation in the world. You know, we have like Dua Lipa now, Action Bronson, now the stars are coming out. But I'm technically, someone brought this up to me a few weeks ago. I'm the first Albanian in modern day borders to be in the UFC. So it's like, I get so much support from all over the world. I have people from Australia, even as in the regional circuit as a pro fighter, support from all over the world: London, Australia, Greece, Albania, Canada, like anywhere you could think of. And they're so proud of me. They look at me as like the forefront of Albanian MMA, and I'm so grateful for it. So it's an extra boost in my training and motivation. And I just try to take the positives from it, not to put pressure on myself, but it gives me an extra reason to fight for, and it gives me a more sense of pride when I fight. And my people support me so much, win or lose, whatever happens. Like, I'm just blessed to have such a strong support system with them. And with that being said, it makes me want to go perform even better to make them proud too.
And I know I had mentioned earlier, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of flags in the crowd that night. About how many flags do you think we're going to be seeing in the crowd?
So far, like, I know personally about like 100, 120 people, like my close friends and family that bought tickets. Plus whoever else is really coming, like I know some guys, they just bought like 20 tickets at a time and they just give them out to people. So I'm sure, like, leading up to it closer, it's going to get a lot more. Like, when I would fight in Atlantic City, I would sell 500-600 tickets. So we'll see. Definitely a few hundred, I'd say.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see it. Best of luck this weekend. Just last thing before you head out for the day: social media, so people know where to follow you at. Any management, sponsorships, all that good stuff. Floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, man. I just got to thank my team first and foremost. The Sarah Longo fight team: Ray Longo, Matt Serra, Aljo Marab, Quinta. They've been huge parts of my camp. Daniel Rubenstein, my manager. My family, my girlfriend, she's been cooking all my meals and like running all my errands for me the whole camp, like dropping everything to make sure I can focus on training. OnlyFans sponsors me. Stone Castle Wines, it's an Albanian like liquor company, wine and moonshine and everything. They're actually amazing. And I have these two Albanian guys, Guzmend and Argent. They've been supporting me since the beginning of my career, just helping me with everything I possibly need, man. Like, just so much support from the Albanians and everyone and my family, and above all, God, because without him, nothing, we wouldn't have anything. So these opportunities come from him, and I'm just grateful. I'm just blessed, going back to that. I'm really just blessed. So thank to all of them, and of course, God more than anybody.